I'm gonna beat you into the living death.
This is the first YAMMA of 2025. Happy belated New Year, you pack of absolute imbeciles. If you're a return viewer, thanks for sticking it out through the off weeks and coming back for more horse shit. If you're a new viewer, subscribe to this channel and click the like button, or I'll unalive myself in your living room and leave a meticulously detailed note describing how and why you were to blame. I know how to extract fingerprints, and I know how to apply them to blunt objects, so ring that goddamn bell or you're going to jail forever. That being said, welcome back to Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. 2024's year-end off-season felt like it lasted for a fucking eternity. After nearly a month of waiting for the UFC to resume its schedule, many fight fans felt like they were wandering through the desert with no clear end in sight. Luckily, my people are well versed in such scenarios, as well as New York tunnel digging apparently, so I made it through just fine, though at times I was indeed fiending for violence to the point of desperation, much like my friend Base Gotti, who was driven to watching Peruvian villagers duking it out in the mountains of the Andes. Thankfully, we got to the other side of the divide, and were greeted with Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Hebos jiggling for 2.5 rounds, which of course made everything once again right with the world. We got a fine fight card with some good finishes and our normal dose of tomfoolery and the ending of the war between Chris Curtis and Roman Kopylov, which was an early fight of the year contender in the first event, so that was a good sign. The point is, fight fans were happy, MMA simps were happy. It seemed that order had been restored to the fighting universe. Then UFC 311 came along and promptly stuck its dick into a light socket. Apparently, one MMA simp that didn't get the message not to feed the e-girls also happened to be fighting in the main event at 311. Arman Sarukian, who was scheduled to challenge for the lightweight title against pound-for-pound best fighter in the world Islam Makhachev, made the galaxy brain decision to do some break-into electric boogaloo moves in an attempt to impress Nina Drama and injured his back in the process.
And then you just go.
No one seems to know if that's the actual reason or not, but I struggle to think of a more sensical one that involves pulling out of a title fight on 24 hours notice with a back injury cited as the cause. Certainly riding a stationary bike for a guy who does extreme flexibility training as a hobby doesn't fucking cut it. No matter what the actual reason is, Armin's getting memed on because of it, so ha fucking ha, dummy. Enjoy fighting your way back to the most important opportunity of your career. Perhaps that's a little harsh of me to say. Maybe if he'd actually have done his anti-bullying PSA, I'd have known better. So out goes Armin, and in steps Hanato Money Moicano to fight Islam, making quite a leap up in competition from fighting Beneil Dariush, who half of the MMA fan base had to be reminded is still an active fighter at all. Dariush would get a nice payday and get out of the potential ass whipping he would have taken from Moicano. The main event is saved. What else could possibly go wrong for UFC 311? Well, if your loss column had a 0 in it, apparently a whole hell of a lot. Of the 4 fighters with undefeated records on the card, not one left with their O intact. 2 of those fighters were Clay Carpenter and Rinya Nakamura, so no one really cares about them, but the other 2 were actually pretty noteworthy. In the featured prelim, surging prospect and poster child for everything boomers picture when they think about Zoomer culture, Peyton Talbot would be thoroughly dog-walked by Brazilian veteran Rony Barcelos, sending a million bet slips into a state of irrepair. In unison, a million cries of he was a minus 1100, this was supposed to be my safe parlay could be heard across the globe, followed by a whole lot of people cursing the name of singer Frank Ocean, as he and Peyton are apparently close friends. Good, close friends. Just 2 dudes who hang out and cook for each other and stuff. Paint toenails, occasional pole dancing. Just bros doing bro things. Just 2 very good friends. It's 2025. Leave them boys alone. The other more damning loss of a zero came in the form of UFC 311's co-main event, in which Umar Nurmagomedov, aka Khabib's little cousin, would become the champion Merab Dvalishvili's little brother over the course of 5 rounds in their title fight at bantamweight. At times the fight resembled a pro wrestling match with the amount of no-selling Merab was doing to every attempt Umar made at mounting an offense. Much like his title fight with Sean O'Malley, Merab tumbled, rolled, and swung his way around the octagon, smiling from ear to ear and showboating like a maniac, frustrating the prospect Umar slightly, and frustrating Khabib into a frenzy of Dagestani fury in Umar's corner. I have to say I felt bad for Umar, who we now know was hot-shotted into this fight way too early in his career and apparently broke his hand in the first round, and still did tremendously well, all things considered. Either way, you never want to be the losing leg of the Father's Plan triple feature. At least Islam Makhachev would give Khabib a good reason to have dealt with that bullshit on Frontier Airlines, when of course the main event went about as well as expected for both of the fighters involved. In the very first round, the pair traded a few taps before Islam secured the takedown, where Moicano would leave his neck open, and Islam would say thanks, I'll take it. The dominance of Makhachev, paired with his dedication to the craft and the relentless pursuit of greatness, have been properly rated by many, with one notable exception. A shiny gold belt with multiple defenses is great, but to have forced this exchange into existence...
I've seen a lot of people say that because of that, Islam deserves some maybe pound-for-pound #1 rankings.
He's already the pound-for-pound #1 ranking.
But is he yours?
Yeah. I'll give it to him.
Fair enough.
Are you happy? Is everybody happy now?
Yeah, I got
pound.
Truly is the biggest achievement of Makhachev's career. Apart from the continued ascension of Islam, the real feel-good story of UFC 311 was Yuri Prochazka and his winning effort over Jamal Hill. Aside from the hard-fought victory which he secured, Yuri also invited a fan struggling with cancer to the event, shaved his head in solidarity with said fan, and donated $50,000 to cancer research, a donation which would be matched by Dana White. An absolutely wholesome display from Prochazka, who is forever proving that he's an absolutely stand-up guy. A stand-up with your hands low and your stance wide so you never check a leg kick guy. Says he's evolved. Another great look from Prochazka would be him buying Jamal a vodka after the fight to show that there's no bad blood between them. That's certainly one way to celebrate a win, but certainly not as exciting as it could have been had Mego Levy accepted this offer.
What does having fun look like for you?
You know, I took a crazy guy from my village to here to see this event, and they are here, and today I will bring them to my hotel and they will see something.
Well, listen, let's leave it at that. Yuri,
you already went it. Let's go.
Now that's a whole different kind of feel-good story. One that's the exact opposite of the pain the Australians are currently feeling looking over the fights that have been announced for UFC 312. For yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you care this much about MMA, you too are a fucking moron. Also from UFC 311, Eileen Perez would get another win, which is always fun, because who doesn't like seeing some 6 out of 10 twerking after some 4 out of 10 fighting? Shaking your ass is all well and good, Eileen, but it helps greatly if the rest of the presentation is worth watching in the first place. Quickly you're becoming the She-Hulk of the UFC.
You almost tasted that. Num num num.